Hello.
Hello, and welcome to this video. We'd like to say hello to all of the new members of the Facebook group, and hello to all of the long-standing members of the Facebook group. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your discussions, your support, your communication, and your responses to others. It's been nice to see the level of support that we have for each other going on in this group. And we also welcome new questions, and we'll get to one in a few minutes. But first, Judi would like to say something. I'm Bert. This is Judi.
Hey there. Before we do these live videos, we have a little chat about what we might talk about, and we grappled a bit with whether or not we would bring up this next subject, and we decided it made sense. My family and Bert's, by marriage, had a very significant loss this week. My brother died very unexpectedly, wonderful person. And so we spent the week processing and mourning his death, celebrating his life, and generally doing what people do when suddenly someone that you interacted with or cared about or engaged with is no longer there. And so we thought that it would make sense. This was a perfect reason for us to talk about diet, the D.I.E.T variety, Did I Enrich Today, and do that in honor of the most important thing in every one of our lives, which is the relationships that we have. So you want to do a little diet talk?
Sure.
All right.
Back when I gave the TEDx talk on D.I.E.T, which, as Judi said, is Did I Enrich Today, I mentioned that there was that what we customarily think of as diet is just a tiny little slice in what we need as healthy individuals to have in our lives. And one of the other parts that belong in a healthy diet of life is relationships. And this week has been a reminder to us that those relationships can disappear in an instant. Mm-hmm. And as Judi mentioned, this was a sudden loss. No one expected it. And these things happen, and we're aware of them, and usually they're kind of outside of our immediate sphere. But every time somebody dies in a car crash or some other accident or has a sudden illness come on, there is a loss that suddenly jumps into somebody's world quite suddenly. And so it is a reminder that as we approach this holiday season, to try to get some of that big D.I.E.T kind of slice of life, mm-hmm, in terms of relationships by soaking in the good parts of the relationships that we have, paying attention to them, making time for them. They're more important than shopping. They're more important than presents.
Yeah.
And so, and sometimes maybe they can be a gift, a present, to give your time to someone that you might not otherwise find time for. But those relationships are what keep us connected. That we're part of a network, a social network. Humans are social creatures, and we need that as part of our healthy diet. And this is a great time of year to bring it into focus, to pay attention to it, and to try to push away the negatives. And we know they're out there. There are probably negatives in every relationship. Mm-hmm. And we want to just ignore those and try to find the good, the positives, focus on those so that we can build each other up rather than tear down, and be a part of a thriving network of family, of friends that support each other. And so that is just a reminder that we're passing on, that we would like you to take away with you, and that is keep it in focus, keep it a part of your life, that awareness that relationships are vital. They're part of your healthy diet.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo everything that Bert said. And I just want to add one thing, because when we were moving through the week and preparing to celebrate my brother's life, one of the things I had to do was ask myself, what was the thing I wanted to share? What did I want to share that was in my head? There were millions of things in my head, but obviously I wasn't going to share all of those. And one of the ones that I did share, as Bert was talking about focusing on the positive, was that an important reminder that came to me was that it in order to relate to people, it takes me stepping out of my head and my thoughts with all of my busyness and baggage and whatever we bring. We all bring things to the table, and thinking about, when I'm interacting with somebody, what's going on in their head. And that allows a level of empathy that sometimes is hard when things aren't going well. So anyway, we're not here to belabor anything, but we wanted to share that, and to just encourage all of us to see the value, the importance, the significance of the relationships that we have, with all of their texture, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, and so on. They make us part of who we are.
And we even talked about this among ourselves. What would we want to say if the next instant was the last instant that we had with somebody? And it can really change how you think about somebody, what becomes important to talk about, and just making sure that people know what you feel about them, and how important they are to you. It doesn't get into our conversations very often, at least not mine. And so it's part of my goal to enrich my interactions by making sure that I'm thinking of, what if I lose this person in tonight? What if I left unsaid? And I don't want to leave those things unsaid. So I'll carry that forward.
All right. Thank you. I'm so glad. And, this is a bit of an indulgence for us to even share this, but we appreciate your patience and your time with that. And so now I think we'll move on to the more typical kinds of things that we would talk about during these live videos. I'm going to read the question. There was a question this week that, as you might guess, we didn't really have a whole lot of time to address personally, but it was important. And thank you to the community for stepping up and providing answers, as you so often and routinely do. The question was from someone, and I'm going to read it because I think these sorts of things have their nature about them that is important to be first person. I keep seeing people having fasting and feasting times that add up to considerably more than 24 hours. For example, 26 hours, 29 hours, etc. But here in Nebraska, we only have 24 hours in a day. I loved that. It was a very sweet question. My experience is that the fasting and feasting is on a daily cycle, which means that the sum total should always be 24 hours. Please explain the non-24-hour model to me. And again, thank you to everyone who provided their experience. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Dr. Bert, and you talk about that 27-hour day.
Well, if we can have 8 days a week, then we can have 27 hours in a day. No. Well, the answer is that a fasting period isn't limited to a day. And in fact, the oldest studies that were done in animals were done as a 24-hour cycle of fasting, alternating with 24 hours of feeding time. And so that was called every other day, or in the numbers, it would just be 24 out of a 48-hour cycle. So your cycle of intermittent fasting can be whatever you want it to be. And so some people may, like the Fast 5, we call that 19 hours of fasting with 5 hours of an eating opportunity. So it's 19/5. But people can also get to a schedule where they're on a 2-day cycle, and they may have quite a bit more than 24 hours of fasting before they break their fast on that second day. Then they have some kind of eating window, and then they go back to their fasting again. And Judi and I have done this for many times, where we do what we call a long fast, and that's only a long fast relative to our usual Fast 5 schedule, where we just take one full day of fasting, and then break fast at the usual time the next day. So instead of the typical 19 hours of fasting in a day, it winds up being 43, because we have a 43-hour fast and then a 5-hour eating window, and then we're back on the cycle. And we typically don't do that one after the other, but a couple of times a week, and it works out to a longer fast. And you probably would wonder, why would we do that? And that is because we do it because we feel there are advantages to longer fasts that go beyond appetite correction. And so if we're not fasting just for weight loss and are looking for the other health benefits, it might be reasonable to add longer fasts. We still don't know all the details of what happens exactly when, but it does seem like a little bit more can be better for our bodies to increase the chance that our cells get into autophagy, which I mentioned in a post last week, where the cells start to clean up themselves because they're a little short on protein. They start to digest their own parts they're not using and recycle those. And the recycling basically cleans up the cell, cleans up the cell's machinery, and so it makes it a healthier cell. And that we know that starts around 18 hours, but maybe it gets a little better if we stretch our fasts out a little longer. So for the health and anti-inflammation part of it, and the longevity prospects that may or may not be out there, nothing's been proven in humans yet, but it's possible. Longer fasts could be helpful, and that's why people are pursuing longer fasts. And sometimes it just feels good. They get to their breakfast time and they're not hungry. So what do? Do you force yourself to eat? No, there's no reason to, especially if you're carrying some surplus fat. You can keep on going, and if it feels good, then by all means, power on.
That the answer that Bert just gave answers the question very well. But one of the extensions of that is there is no rule about it's one of the things about the Fast 5 way of living, the appetite correction way of living, is that it really is a study of one, and everybody and every body is different, and finding your right window is something it's an ongoing exercise, even decade to decade. So the window that you find that's a really great window when you're 30 may not be the great window when you're 40. One of the things that encourages me to do the once or twice a week long fast is that when I do that, my joints feel better. I'm not 20 anymore, and surprise, surprise, there are a few things that kind of reminded me that the body does truly age, and the occasional long fast for me has been the difference in feeling better. And I mean, I feel great in general, but there are little things that remind me again that I'm not a youngster. And so the rules, the Fast 5, 19.5, was first started for a number of reasons, but in part it was a reasonable schedule that seemed like it was sustainable, and sustainability becomes really the long-term goal among many. And so then starting out with 19.5 as a starting place, and then modifying that as your body gives you answers, is really the essence of the study of one.
And there was a series of comments, I think it was yesterday in the group, about people who were having one schedule on the weekdays and a different schedule on the weekends. I love to see that, because people are making the schedule their own. 16:8 on the weekends, 19:5 on the weekdays. It's working, and so that's what makes a plan sustainable. And so it works for families on the weekend, works with your overall goal of maintaining a fast. It varies for different people what that goal is, but I was seeing that people were making modifications to make it fit their schedule as well as they could. And that is exactly what we expect people to do. It's part of the study of one. It's finding that groove that works for your life so that you can keep this going. Because if you can't keep it going, it's not worthwhile. I do want to say hi to some of the people who've commented, Pauline and Eric and Patrick. We appreciate your support, and Jamie, appreciate your support through all the things that you've done in the group. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, great community members. There's one blog post, and I don't remember the name of it, that addresses the length of window, how to choose your window length. And it looks at things like the total number of hours of low insulin and so on. So I would encourage you to look at that. We will add a comment to this stream and put a link to that post. I just don't recall which one it is, but it does a nice job of detailing what benefit one might see with different window lengths.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Generally, the longer the better, but it has to work with your life.
It does, and this isn't a competition. Having a 22-hour fast versus a 19-hour fast versus a 16-hour fast, there's no winner in that. Those are all wins if they are working for your body.
Yeah.
So
and it's every individual is working to find their best groove, and that's why we come up with different windows, different schedules. It's just different slices of life in terms of what works and what fits into that life.
So I think we've covered what we planned to cover today, and we'll close by saying happy holiday and good luck and sending love and light your way for great relationships that you can foster over the time in this big, I think, a holiday season for many holidays. I don't know about all the holidays that are celebrated during this time, but it's a huge number. And for those who are celebrating in any way the love that we have in this world, carry it forward. We're with you.
And we do hope that you find that these holidays are especially warm, comforting, and special in the way that holidays can sometimes be. We hope it's a special year for you with lots of good times with your family and friends, and that the holiday warmth comes through you and goes out to many others.
Yeah. All right. Next time we'll say hello again. So see you later. Okay, bye.
Bye now.